This season, Parker Schnabel's journey was completely different from what anyone had expected. When people thought the production of gold would be slow, and when most believed the target would be out of reach, Parker surprised everyone. On camera, everything seemed normal. The machines were running, gold was being collected, and the crew was busy at work. But behind the scenes, something unusual was happening. Something that no one outside Parker's trusted circle had any idea about. There were rumors that Parker was digging in secret areas, where no miner had ever dared to go before. Some even whispered that he was not only pulling out gold, but also uncovering mysterious objects buried deep in the earth. What shocked everyone more was that Parker kept all of this hidden. Nothing was made public, but leaked footage gave small glimpses of something extraordinary, and those glimpses left both the crew and audience stunned. When the final numbers of the season came out, the world was in shock. Parker had managed to hit a massive target of $40 million worth of gold. This was a number many thought impossible to reach, especially after the troubles of the previous season. But questions quickly began to rise. Was this only the result of Parker's hard work, or was there a bigger secret plan behind it all? The story of this season was not just about digging for gold. It was about mystery, risk, and a discovery that may have changed everything. The challenges of the previous season had set the stage for this incredible turnaround. Last year, Parker believed he would easily reach his target, but constant rain and bad weather forced work to stop again and again. Machines kept breaking down, and repairs cost huge amounts of money. His crew became tired and frustrated, and morale dropped lower with every passing week. Parker himself looked restless and angry. At one point, it seemed this could become the biggest failure of his career. The most damaging blow came when gold production fell far behind the promised target. Investors were disappointed, fans began to doubt him, and social media was filled with talk about Parker's career possibly going downhill. As if that was not enough, internal conflicts erupted within his crew. Some members openly questioned his decisions, while breakdowns of heavy machines made the situation worse. Repairs consumed both time and money, and the tension could be seen in Parker's eyes every single day. Adding to all this was his long-standing rivalry with Tony Beats. The clashes between Tony and Parker had always been part of the gold rush story. At this time, too, their sharp words, taunts, and accusations were on display. At times, it felt like the season was more about their rivalry than about mining gold. All these incidents made it clear just how difficult things had become for Parker, and it was precisely because of these struggles that the stakes were higher than ever this season. Parker knew he had to not only achieve success, but also regain his respect and the trust of his team. When the new season began, everything felt different. The market was seeing gold prices rise to record levels. With prices so high, Parker faced more pressure than ever. Everyone's eyes were on him. If he failed this time, his name and reputation would take a heavy blow. He knew there was no room for mistakes. Parker started the season with a new plan. This time, it was not only about finding gold, but about breaking records. He invested in new machinery that could process gold faster and more efficiently than before. He reorganized his crew, assigning people to roles that best matched their strengths. His strategy was clear: increase production, reduce wastage, and save as much time as possible. Still, fear lingered among the team. The painful memories of the last season had left scars. Crew members worried that the machines might break down again, or that the gold might not be as plentiful as expected. Parker called a meeting to address these doubts. Standing before his crew, he delivered a powerful line. This time, we are not just going to find gold. We are going to make history. Those words lifted the spirits of his team. A new fire was lit in their eyes. They were ready to follow Parker, no matter how hard the path ahead would be. The season began with a sense of determination and tension in the air. Everyone felt something big was going to happen this year, and they were right. At first, things looked normal. The weather was clear, the machines were working, and optimism was high. But within the first week, trouble struck. A major machine broke down suddenly, forcing work to stop completely. Parker treated it as a small setback, but in the following days, breakdowns became frequent. Pumps failed, conveyor belts snapped, and the biggest shock came when one of the dredger machines stopped working. Repairing it shook Parker's budget badly. The cost of running and fixing machines was greater than the value of gold being extracted. This constant cycle of breakdowns created frustration among the crew. Arguments became common. Some accused others of neglecting maintenance, while others blamed mistakes in planning. The work slowed down and the atmosphere grew tense. Parker, watching all this, carried the weight silently. His dream was slipping away again, just like the previous season. Each day seemed to sink both his hope and his finances a little more. At this critical point, Parker made a bold and shocking decision. He announced that they would begin work at a completely new and secret location. This place was not marked on any maps, and no other miner had ever attempted to dig there. He revealed it only to a small group of his most trusted team members. Late one night, in a dimly lit room, Parker spread out a map and told them, "This place is dangerous. No one has ever touched it, but if we succeed, it will change everything." The team was divided. Some were surprised, others afraid. Why risk everything in such an unknown area? But Parker's conviction was strong. He believed this hidden site was the key to saving the season. The new location was difficult to reach. Surrounded by forests and rugged hills, the cameras captured scenes of heavy machines moving into an area covered in mystery and silence. Only Parker and a handful of his closest crew knew what was happening there. Even families of workers were kept in the dark. Social media was silent, as strict secrecy was maintained. As digging began, Parker's face grew more serious. His eyes reflected both risk and hope. Something about this place carried a different energy. It was as if he believed this site held more than just gold. It held the answer to his dreams. As the days passed and work at the secret site continued, whispers began to spread within the crew. Normally, Parker was open with his team, sharing updates and decisions. But this time, he was unusually quiet. He spoke only to a few trusted members, and even they revealed very little. The rest of the crew started to grow uneasy. They wondered why Parker was being so secretive. Some crew members began to speculate among themselves. Why is he hiding this place from us? Is it just gold or something more? These questions circled through the camp, creating both curiosity and tension. Normally, in gold mining, secrecy is rare because teamwork is essential. But Parker's silence made the situation feel strange. Outside the camp, the mystery began to leak into social media discussions as well. On platforms like Reddit and Twitter, threads appeared with fans trying to piece together clues. Some users claimed they had seen unusual movements of Parker's equipment in satellite images. Others suggested the government was monitoring the site, while theories started spreading fast. One fan wrote, "If this was only about gold, why would Parker keep it so secret? He must have found something else, something big." Another commented, "I think Parker has stumbled on an ancient treasure, maybe artifacts, maybe something buried for centuries." The speculation grew wilder by the day. YouTube creators made theory videos analyzing leaked photos, blurry footage, and Parker's strange silence. Some claimed Parker had discovered not just gold, but possibly rare minerals or historical objects that could change history inside the camp. The crew began to argue more openly. Some believed Parker was hiding a bigger treasure. Others thought it was just part of his strategy to keep competitors away. The uncertainty caused uneasiness. Yet despite their doubts, they continued to work hard, digging deeper into the mysterious site. And then, finally, after weeks of hard labor, the first major breakthrough arrived. While digging at a section where the soil looked different, the machine struck something unusual. The ground layers separated in a strange way, and suddenly, a shine appeared in the dirt. At first, the crew thought it was just a small vein of gold, but as they dug further, the shine grew brighter and wider. What they pulled out stunned everyone. A massive deposit of gold unlike anything they had seen before. The team erupted. "In joy," some shouted, some laughed, and others looked at each other in disbelief. After all the struggles, breakdowns, and doubts, they finally had a big win. The weight of frustration lifted from their shoulders. Everyone expected Parker to celebrate with them, but Parker's reaction was completely unexpected. He stood still, his eyes fixed on the gold. His face was serious, almost heavy with thought. While his team cheered, Parker remained silent, as if he was lost in another world. There was no smile, no excitement, only deep concentration. This silence caught the attention of the cameras. The audience watching later could feel the strangeness of that moment. Usually, any miner would be ecstatic after such a discovery, but Parker's calm, almost worried look gave the impression that this gold was only part of the story. The narration echoed in a dramatic voice. This was just the beginning. The real game was yet to come. As days went on, rumors outside the camp grew stronger. The leaked photo from the site added fuel to the fire. Though blurry, it showed something odd, objects that did not look like ordinary gold deposits. Fans on social media went wild. Some said it was proof of ancient treasure, while others suggested Parker had discovered something the government wanted to keep hidden. And soon enough, their suspicion seemed to be confirmed. One morning, without warning, several government vehicles arrived at Parker's secret site. Officers stepped out, their faces serious. Parker and his crew froze in shock. The officials handed Parker a notice and demanded a private meeting immediately. The mood turned tense. The crew whispered among themselves, confused and anxious. Why had the government come here? Was it because of the sheer amount of gold? Or was it because Parker had uncovered something far more valuable than gold? No one knew for sure. Social media lit up once again. Posts and theories exploded. Some claimed Parker had been mining on restricted land. Others said the government wanted to take control of whatever he had found. After the meeting, Parker walked out quietly, his face unreadable. He did not explain what had happened. His silence only deepened the mystery. The crew sensed something big was unfolding, but Parker kept everything locked inside himself. For the audience, this moment raised 1,000 questions. What did the government know? What had Parker really found at that site? Meanwhile, word of Parker's mysterious success reached his old rival, Tony Beats. Tony had always seen himself as Parker's equal, if not superior, in the gold rush world. When he heard rumors that Parker had discovered massive amounts of gold at a secret location, Tony's anger boiled over. He told his crew, if Parker is pulling this much gold out, there's something fishy going on. Nobody just stumbles onto that kind of jackpot. The rivalry between Tony and Parker reignited with new intensity. Flashback clips reminded audiences of their earlier clashes, arguments over land rights, battles over production numbers, and heated exchanges over who deserved the title of the best miner. This time, Tony believed Parker had either taken shortcuts or made secret deals. He refused to believe Parker's success was purely hard work. While Tony vented his doubts, Parker stayed silent. That silence only fueled Tony's suspicion and divided fans on social media. Some stood by Parker, praising his success, while others supported Tony's doubts, accusing Parker of hiding the truth. The tension grew thicker with every passing week, and then came the biggest shock of the season. One afternoon, when everything seemed normal, machines running, crew working, cameras filming, production suddenly stopped. The sound of machines went silent. The production team switched off their cameras. The entire camp fell into complete silence. Parker walked straight into his trailer and shut the door behind him. The crew looked at each other, puzzled and uneasy. No one knew what had happened. Soon, the silence spread outside the camp as well. News reached fans, and rumors began to swirl once again. Some claimed Parker had discovered a massive gold deposit, so large that it had to be kept secret. Others believed he had found something that could not be shown on camera, something beyond gold. Not long after, a blurry photo leaked online. It showed something unusual being lifted out of the ground, but the image was too unclear to identify. Some said it was part of an ancient chest. Others thought it was strange equipment or artifacts. The theories became wilder and wilder. Parker, once again, gave no statement. His silence only added to the storm. Fans were left desperate to know the truth. The season had already been dramatic, but this sudden shutdown of filming became the biggest twist so far. After days of silence, the camp slowly returned to work, but the atmosphere was heavy. Every crew member could feel that something had changed. Parker was more focused than ever, yet he spoke even less than before. He gave clear orders, worked long hours, and pushed the crew harder than ever. It was as though he was carrying a burden he couldn't share. The tension grew unbearable. For the crew, the mystery became almost worse than the hard labor. They were used to long hours and backbreaking work, but this silence and secrecy weighed on their spirits. Some crew members began to argue more often, others considered quitting, but in the end, their loyalty to Parker and their hope for a massive payday kept them going. Then, after weeks of grueling digging and non-stop effort, the truth finally broke through. At the bottom of the pit, in a section Parker had been closely monitoring, the excavators uncovered something extraordinary. The cameras captured the moment. The dirt gave way, and beneath it lay layer after layer of pure, shining gold. This was not just a small pocket or a single deposit. It was a massive treasure, one of the richest strikes ever seen on the show. As they measured and weighed the find, the number stunned everyone. Parker had uncovered over $40 million worth of gold. In a single season, the crew erupted in disbelief. Some cheered so loudly they could be heard across the camp. Others simply stared at the glowing piles of gold, their mouths open in shock. Never before had Parker or his team achieved something of this scale. It was history in the making. But Parker's reaction was once again unusual. Yes, he allowed himself a small smile. Yes, he congratulated his crew. But his face carried a weight that did not match the celebration. For him, the discovery was not just about riches. It was about what came next. The cameras caught his quiet words. "This changes everything." And indeed, it did. News of the $40 million jackpot spread quickly. The production team, though cautious, couldn't keep such a massive find hidden for long. Within hours, leaks began appearing online. Social media exploded. Fans around the world were stunned. Posts flooded Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit with headlines like, "Parker Schnabel hits $40 million strike," and "Gold Rush history rewritten." But as always, with fame came suspicion. Many fans praised Parker for his incredible achievement, calling him the best miner of his generation. Others, however, doubted the truth of the story. Some argued that no single season could produce that much gold without outside help. Others insisted Parker had stumbled upon more than just gold, perhaps rare minerals, or even ancient artifacts buried with the deposit. The theories reached a fever pitch when another blurry photo leaked online. This time, the image appeared to show Parker's crew lifting a large, chest-like object from the ground. Though grainy and unclear, it fueled wild speculation. Some fans were convinced Parker had uncovered treasure beyond gold, something worth hiding from the public. Meanwhile, inside the camp, things were far from calm. With such a massive treasure in their hands, the crew now faced new problems. Security became a top concern. Guard shifts were arranged, fences were reinforced, and secrecy tightened even further. The once friendly atmosphere of the mining camp now felt more like a fortress. Government interest also grew stronger. Officials returned to the site for further inspections, asking more questions and demanding more paperwork. Some crew members whispered that the government wanted to take control of the discovery. Others feared the site could be shut down completely. At the same time, the rivalry with Tony Beats reached new heights. When Tony heard about Parker's $40 million jackpot, his frustration turned into open rage. He accused Parker of cutting corners, of making secret deals, and of hiding the truth from the world. Tony declared, "There's no way this is just luck. Something else is going on here, and I'll prove it." The audience watching the season loved the drama. On one side, Parker stood as the young genius miner, secretive and driven. On the other, Tony raged with jealousy and determination to expose him. It was a rivalry that added even more fuel to the season's mystery. But despite the crew's exhaustion, government pressure, and Tony's accusations, Parker pushed forward. He ordered the work to continue, determined to extract every ounce of treasure from the site before time ran out. Days turned into weeks, and the piles of gold grew larger and larger. And then, just when it seemed the season had reached its peak, another shock hit the camp. One morning, as the crew arrived to begin work, they found the site eerily quiet. The heavy machines were shut down. The cameras were not rolling. The production team announced that filming had been suspended once again, without explanation. The crew gathered in confusion. Some demanded answers. But Parker remained locked inside his trailer, refusing to speak. Hours passed in silence. Finally, whispers began to spread that the site had revealed something too sensitive to show on television. That evening, as the sun set over the Yukon, Parker finally emerged. His crew gathered around him, waiting for answers. He looked tired, but his voice was steady. He told them only one thing: "What we found here, it's bigger than gold." The cameras caught those words and then cut to black. The season ended on a dramatic cliffhanger, leaving fans around the world desperate for answers. What did Parker mean by bigger than gold? Was it another massive treasure hidden underground? Was it something historical, something that could change how we see the past? Or was it simply the weight of responsibility that comes with holding such a fortune? No one knew for sure. Theories filled the internet. Some believed Parker had uncovered rare minerals worth even more than gold. Others insisted he had found artifacts that proved ancient civilizations had once been in the Yukon. And a few even speculated that Parker's discovery could rewrite history itself. whatever the truth was, one thing was clear. This season of Gold Rush had gone far beyond ordinary mining. It had become a story of mystery, secrecy, rivalry, and one of the biggest jackpots ever seen on the show. And for Parker Schnabel, the journey was far from over. The next chapter promised even more drama, more discoveries, and perhaps the final answer to the question everyone was asking. What exactly did Parker find at that secret site? After the final words of Parker Schnabel echoed across the silent mining camp, what we found here is bigger than gold. The season faded to black, but for viewers, that moment was just the beginning. In the days that followed, the internet exploded with speculation. Fans across the world dissected every frame of the episode. They slowed down the footage, zoomed into blurry backgrounds, and compared screenshots with past seasons. On forums, entire threads were dedicated to one question: what did Parker mean by bigger than gold? Some fans believed Parker was speaking literally. To them, bigger than gold meant he had found rare minerals, things like platinum, palladium, or even diamonds hidden within the Yukon ground. These minerals could be worth far more than gold and might explain why the government showed such a sudden interest in his site. Others took a different angle. They believed Parker had stumbled onto something historical, perhaps the remains of an old settlement, or even ancient artifacts buried for centuries. One theory suggested that the site could be connected to indigenous history in the Yukon, which would explain why filming might have been paused out of respect. Still, another group of fans leaned toward conspiracy. They argued that the secrecy, the government visits, and the sudden production shutdown all pointed to a cover-up. Maybe Parker had found something so valuable or so controversial that it could never be shown on television. To these fans, the $40 million jackpot was only part of the story. The real treasure was still hidden. While debates raged online, the crew members themselves struggled with the weight of the season. Many of them had never experienced this level of pressure. Mining was always hard work, but now it came with secrecy, surveillance, and a constant sense of unease. Some admitted in later interviews that the season had left them drained. They were proud of the gold they pulled out, but they also felt the cost of working under such tension. Parker, meanwhile, kept his silence. Unlike in previous seasons, where he openly shared his victories and failures, this time he gave very few interviews. When he did speak, his words were careful and measured. He praised his crew for their effort, acknowledged the size of the jackpot, but always avoided the deeper question: what else was found at the site? This silence only fueled more speculation. Fans were not satisfied with half answers. They demanded the truth. Some even launched petitions, asking the network to release uncut footage of the season. Others created long theory videos, connecting dots from past episodes, interviews, and leaked photos. But through it all, Parker remained focused on the future. For him, the $40 million jackpot was not an end, but a beginning. It meant new opportunities, new risks, and perhaps new battles, not just with Tony Beats, but with forces much larger than any rival miner. And this is where the story takes on a bigger meaning. Parker's journey has always been about more than just gold. It's about pushing limits, taking risks, and facing the unknown. In this season, those themes became clearer than ever. The gold was real, the jackpot was historic, but the mystery around it gave the story a depth that no one could have predicted. For fans, the unanswered questions are what keep the excitement alive. What exactly did Parker find? Why was the government so involved? Why did the cameras shut down? Was it simply about gold? Or was it about something hidden beneath the surface of history? The truth may come out in time, or maybe it never will. But one thing is certain: this season of Gold Rush changed everything. It wasn't just about mining anymore. It was about secrets, power, and the possibility that the Yukon still holds mysteries far beyond gold. As the screen faded to black and Parker's words lingered, fans were left with a promise: the story isn't over. The next season will either bring answers or even deeper mysteries. Until then, all we can do is wait, watch, and wonder what lies beneath the frozen ground.